South Beach. Why do we know this, Molly? Because that man's wife, that's where she confronted me about how I need to be nice.
Yes! Get it!
That was in South Beach.
Mrs. Spears!
He was right there with the family. So I
Bring
want to
it.
hear it. Let's go. Let's go.
Listen,
It's just my room.
I'm of Mediterranean descent. I belong in the sun
year.
year-round. All right, we'll leave it there. Okay, guys, here's the deal. This will be Tom Brady's 10th trip to the Super Bowl. He's won 6 already, like Michael Jordan. Stephen A., I fancy myself as the ultimate team player because I work with 2 divas every day, so I feel like I can speak to this subject, but I'll come to you here. Will a win make Brady the greatest winner in the modern sports era?
Well, first of all, before I get into that, Molly Wood, I mean, you brought up the diva. I must confess and throw myself on the sword. I've accepted the fact that I am a bit diva-ish. I'll accept that. I'll accept
Only took 52 years.
I'll accept it. I'll accept it, Molly.
It's because you're so rich. You and Max Bullock.
I mean, it took me a while to get to that point, Marcus, but I am there, okay?
Yeah.
I'll accept it, all right?
Yeah,
Here's
he's
the deal.
unreal. Stephen A., did anybody deliver you your green smoothie yet today, or did you get your special water? Because we know you don't drink out of plastic. I just want to make sure you're all...
I got the green smoothie in this cup right here,
Good,
and I got my tea, you know, the whole bit, so I'm
and your whole support staff
good.
is there. Okay, just want to make sure... I want to make sure you're comfortable, okay?
I got it.
Carry
I
on.
got it. Even though we won't tell the world, you started ordering those green smoothies yourself. We'll keep that between us, Mom. Anyway, here's the deal. Tom Brady, I think if he pulls this off, guys, at age 43, will be his 7th Super Bowl championship, considering all that it takes to win in the sport of football. I definitely believe that he would be, this side of Bill Russell, the greatest champion in team sports history. I don't think that there's any way to take that away from him. Now, obviously, when I think about champions, I think about Michael Jordan. But I also think about the sport of basketball and how one player, if you've got the right sidekick or two, how you have the power to deliver on both ends of the floor to propel your team to heights unseen. That may not necessarily always be the case in football. We've seen plenty of situations where there are individuals that have been great, but they're surrounded by others that really keep them down. Then I think about Tom Brady, and it's not to take anything away from anybody else, because I agree with Ty Law and those boys in New England when they talked about the first championship, the last championship. You know, you won that because of the defense. You talk about Tom Brady coming into a culture, and there was some growing pains he had to endure in order to get to where he is. But it's not an accident that wherever he goes, success follows, and how he's able to galvanize the troops in such a way that we no longer talk about the Joe Montanas as the greatest in the world, okay? We talk about Tom Brady. And when I think about the great quarterbacks in NFL history, I think about Dan Marino. I think about John Elway. I think about a 4-time Super Bowl champion in Terry Bradshaw, a 3-time Super Bowl champion in Troy Aikman. I look at Joe Montana, Steve Young. The list goes on and on and on. Peyton Manning, of course, comes to mind. You just look at these guys, and then you see Tom Brady. And this is going to be at age 43. If he were to win his 7th Super Bowl championship, it would be by beating the guy that's considered the modern day GOAT in Patrick Mahomes, who's loaded with the weapons that he's loaded with. If you find a way to pull this out, I don't think we'll be able to take it away from Tom Brady. He'd be one of the top 2 greatest winners in the history of team sports.
The greatest winner in the history of team sports, whether or not Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl, which would be an amazing accomplishment, is Michael Jordan. I know it's boring, everybody. I know it's boring because Michael Jordan just means the best, right? But he was the best before he was the winner. He was better than Magic and Bird and everybody before he ever won a championship. By his 3rd season, he's the best player of all time. No, the Michael Jordan brand is the strongest in the world in sports by a factor of 1,000,000 or whatever it is, because he was the ultimate winner. Let me put it to you like this. Fate of the universe on the line. Ball in the hands of any American athlete ever, or any athlete in the history of the world ever. Who's going to win that vote? Michael Jordan in a landslide. In a landslide. Of course it's Jordan. Do you realize that Michael Jordan, the first time he played with another All-Star, took the Pistons 7 games? He never played with an All-Star before. Pippen had a migraine. He wasn't an All-Star that game. They lost. I think they would have won the championship that year, but it doesn't matter. Pippen was pre-prime. Next year, Pippen hit his prime. Michael Jordan never again in a full season, ever, didn't win the championship in under 7 games when he was in his prime, when he was playing with another all-star. Never didn't win it in under 7 games. There are no Eli Mannings on his record. But Tom Brady's been amazing. And if you want to talk about the greatest leaders in the history of team sports, Brady maybe wins that one. He's way up there. You could talk about him and Bill Russell, a couple others. But in terms of the greatest winner in team sports, whenever Jordan had a chance, he never lost. He didn't have a nemesis to beat him twice in the biggest game. He's not 6 for 9 or maybe 7 for 10 or 6 for 10. He's 6 for 6, 6-0 with 6 KOs. No one ever went the distance. That's why he has the biggest brand in sports in the history of the planet Earth. He's the biggest winner.
Yeah, I know for the sake of argument, you guys had to pick 2 different dudes, but Max, you know this not close, man. You know it's way more. The degree of difficulty to win a Super Bowl is way harder than it is in the NBA. And that's not to take away from the greatness of NBA players and what they've been able to do. The reason why I argue LeBron is the GOAT in the NBA is because he's been the common denominator for every team he's been on that has won championships. But that's not the conversation. Tom Brady about to play in this 10th Super Bowl, man. The average career in the NFL is 3.5 years. I played 9 total years in the NFL. He's about to go to 10 Super Bowls. He already has his 6th ring. He's about to try to go get 7. And then when you think about the degree of difficulty, beyond what happened in New England, the degree of difficulty this year, you change teams, don't have an offseason, you're 43, you got to go through a season where you're trying to figure out how to play with this team and have success, and you end up in the Super Bowl. Not to mention the first Super Bowl ever where the home team is the team is playing at their home stadium. Tom Brady is responsible for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being in the Super Bowl, and that doesn't equate to what is happening on the field as far as how well the defense is played, and they've had more of an impact as far as getting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in this position. Mm-hmm. But you think if Tom Brady wasn't a quarterback, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be in the Super Bowl? You're fooling yourself if you don't think that's the reality. The reality is the degree of difficulty is much harder to end up in the game, let alone win 6 of them, to end up in this game. Ask Dan Marino how hard it is. Ask John Elway how hard it is. Ask Peyton Manning how hard it is to get here. They had good defenses. They had good players. Tom Brady is about to play in the 10th Super Bowl.
Maybe about to lose his 4th
team that he came with a new team that he came to just a few months ago without the opportunity to prepare for the season, dealing with COVID. Bro, listen. This is not close. I've said it. Well, I've said it before. If he wins this Super Bowl, and I'm not sure if it's already the case, but if he wins this Super Bowl, he's the greatest player in team sports in American history, period, and the greatest winner.
Hold on, Swagoo. In the interest of a couple of NBA head coaches who will remain nameless and just text me, I want to make sure that my position is very, very clear. I have Tom Brady, if he wins the Super Bowl, as number 2 all-time as the greatest winner in team
Bill
sports,
Russell.
behind Bill Russell. Right. Bill Russell, 11 titles in 13 years, an NCAA champion, an Olympic gold medalist, not to mention the fact that he also won a couple of titles as a player's coach, okay? A black man in the 60s that was named the 60s, 70s, that was named a head coach in Boston and won a title as a player coach. There is no question that when it comes to winners in team sports, Bill Russell is numero uno.
Time out.
But then after that, it would be Tom Brady at number 2.
Time out. Let's not also forget Kareem, who was the greatest winner and dominating player in the history of college basketball before he won 6 chips.
We should tag this professional sports.
Okay, but look,
shouldn't we put that caveat on there?
Okay, look, here's the thing
Guys,
about MJ.
It's harder to get to a Super Bowl.
You know why that is? It's because one player in football.
I respect it. And I'm glad we're having this conversation because I know it's going to go crazy. I respect it. But I'm telling y'all right now, I've watched the NBA, and I've seen teams buy championships in the NBA. I've seen teams get Shaq and win NBA championships when they weren't close. I know what Wilt did. I know what Bill Russell did as far as being the greatest winner. The degree of difficulty is much harder to do this in the NFL.
And that's because there are more parts on an NFL team, Marcus. If I said who's the best you've ever seen, you probably wouldn't say Tom Brady. Hold on. Michael Jordan.
No, we're not talking about talent, Max.
Michael Jordan.
About winning.
Michael Jordan, I actually think, well, first of all, Bill Russell, I'm not trying to insult Tom Brady or Bill Russell. These are the greatest winners ever. But we're making the arguments for one and against another. Tom Brady could very well lose his 4th Super Bowl. He'd be barely above 500 in the Super Bowl.
That's not applicable to this conversation.
It is because
if he wins.
If he wins, he's won 7 out of 10. He's an amazing winner. Jordan never came close to losing in the finals.
Guys, we're going to
There's no Eli Manning. Clyde Drexler wasn't as Eli.
Bro,
it doesn't matter who it was.
It's easier, bro. It's easier, Max.
It's easier
to
because
win
you have Jordan
basketball.
All right, so Marcus is arguing that it's much more difficult to win a Super Bowl than it is NBA Finals. We'll revisit this later. Peyton Manning is the only quarterback to win Super Bowl titles with multiple teams. Let's keep it moving, guys. I want to go to the Chiefs side of things now.